All right, for math today, we are going to be working with teen collections, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more on the next couple slides. But our objective today is I can compare sets of 10 to 19 objects. So we've talked about teen numbers before. We know that those are the numbers between 10 and 19, and we are going to be working with those numbers and comparing those teen numbers to see which one's bigger and which one's smaller. Okay, so remember that's what we're doing. We're comparing, we're saying how they're the same or how they're different. And so for this, we're going to be kind of talking about how they're different, but we might notice a few things that are the same about all of them. So let's go ahead and get started. So we are going to compare teen numbers. So let's look at these two bags of objects. Which collection has more objects? So if you just look real quickly, can you tell which one has more objects? It is kind of hard to tell, isn't it? When they're all bunched up like that, it can be kind of hard to tell. Can you tell which one has fewer? Which one do you think? So sometimes it can be hard to compare because it's all bunched up. So something that might make it a little bit easier is if we use a tens frame to help us sort these objects out to get them into nice, neat rows, and then we can really compare them nicely. So let's go to the next slide and see how we can use a 10 frame, a double tens frame to help us solve these math questions. So here we have two double tens frames. So what we're going to do, we're going to sort the objects onto our tens frame. Then we're going to write out our addition sentence on both of them, and we're going to be able to then compare which one has more and which one has less. What we're going to do once we figure out which one has more, we're going to put an X on that smaller collection, so the smaller number. So let's go ahead and just start with this first one. So we are going to put a star in each box of our 10 frame. So right now I'm at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop for just a second and think. So we know that when we see this is all filled up, we know that on a tens frame, that means we have 10 objects already. So right now we have 10. So let's keep counting. So we ran out of room on this, so now we have to go to our next 10 frame. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Whoa, so that bag had 16 stars in it. Isn't it so much easier to see how many were in that bag once we sort them out into our double 10 frames? I know it's easier for me to see. When it's all jumbled up like this, it's a little bit harder to tell, so it's nice to kind of organize it like this. All right, so now we're going to let's write out this addition sentence that goes with it. So what we can see is that we have 10 stars in this first tens frame. So let's write on this line right here, let's write the number 10. So we have 10 stars. Okay, now let's look at the next tens frame to write on this line. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 stars. Do you remember what we said that total was that we had all together? Great. If you said 16, you are exactly right. So all together, when we were counting out those stars on this tens frame, on these double tens frame, we knew we had 16 altogether, but we can break it down by saying, okay, we know there's 10 here and there's 6 more here, so 10 plus 6 equals 16. All right, let's look at the next one. So let's see, we're going to be able to now compare once we get these all sorted out. So let's put the stars on our tens frame, our double tens frame. We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that 10 frame is all filled up. So we can just count on from 10, 11, 12. So we know we have 12 total. I'm going to do this a little bit backwards this time. So here I'm going to write 12 because we know there are 12 total because that's what we just counted out. Now let's finish writing out the rest of it. So right here we have How many in this first one? This first tens frame? 10. Very good. We have 10 because we know when that's all filled up, that means we have 10. How many do we have on our second 10 frame? 2. Good job. So we have 10 plus 2 equals 12. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, so now let's look at the two. Now we can compare them a little bit better. When they were in those bags, they were kind of hard to compare. Now we can. Which one is the smaller collection? Awesome. If you said 12, you are exactly right. So we'll put a nice big X through this one because this one is the smaller collection. We know 16 is bigger than 12. All right, let's try another one. Okay, so we're going to use our double tens frames here to help us compare the two numbers of objects. So let's go ahead and fill up. Do you think, since we're working with team numbers, do you think this first tens frame on both of these is going to be all filled up? Yep, I think so too. Good job. Those are going to be filled up every time because we know when we're working with team numbers, it's numbers 10 or bigger. So we know that a tens frame is probably going to be all filled up in all of these. So right now we're at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that one is full. We have 11, 12, 13, and 14. All right, so we have 14 total. Let's write that in. I know I'm doing these kind of backwards, but I'm gonna write in that 14 here. Okay, said 14 total. Now, how many did I have in this first 10 frame? I had 10, okay? So we know once that's all filled up, that means we have 10 total. How many did I have left over? How many ones did I have left over in the second 10 frame? 4, okay. 10 plus 4 equals 14. All right, let's go ahead and sort out this next bag of hearts. So, do you think this tens frame is gonna be all filled up? Yep, good job. It is. We know that when we're working with our team numbers, we're filling up that first full tens frame. Okay, so we got that one filled up. So I know I have 10. I'm going to count on from there. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, so I've got 19. Let's go ahead and write in that number 19. We know that that's our total. That's how many we have all together. We have 19. We just counted them out. Okay, so how many? What number am I going to write on this first line? 10, because we have 10 in that first full 10 frame. All right, how many am I going to write on this next line right here? Looking at this second one. Let's count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to write in my 9 right here. So 10 plus 9 equals 19. Okay, so let's look at the two now that we have them all sorted out. Which number is bigger? 19, very good. So that means 14 is smaller. We are going to put an X through our smaller collection. So I'm going to write my X through it. Okay, and I know 19 is bigger than 9. All right, we are going to do one more together, and then I'm going to show you what you can do at home. Okay, while we're going through this, I want you to really think this time, what patterns are you noticing as we're doing all of these problems, all of these team collections? What are you noticing about them? Is there something that is the same about the numbers? Right now, we've been comparing and saying which one's bigger, which one's smaller, but they all have something. All of these problems we've done so far have something that is the same. So be thinking about that while we go through this one. But I'm going to start by saying, okay, I know I have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so I know my total is 17. So remember, equals right here. I'm going to write it in after my equal sign. I have 17 total. That's how many I have all together. Okay, now let's break it down. So in the first tens frame, I have how many? Good. I have 10 in my first 10 frame. How many do I have in my second 10 frame? 7. Very good. I have 7 flowers in the second 10 frame. So 10 plus 7 equals 17. Very good. Okay. You noticing anything about these? Okay, let's keep going. So I know that this is 10, so I'm going to count them from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I have 15 total. I'm writing in my 15 right here. 15 total. Okay, this first one, how many do I have? 10. Okay, it's completely full, so we know that means there are 10. We can say that right away. Okay, next one. How many do I have in my second 10 frame? 5. 10 plus 5 equals 15. Nice job. Okay, so what I want to do is compare the two. So let's look and see. One of them has 17, the other has 15. Which one is the smaller number, the smaller teen number? Great, 15 is the smaller teen number. So we're going to X that one out, and we know that 17 is the bigger number. So when we're comparing those, we're looking and we're seeing that 17 is larger. Okay. So what did the double tens frame show us about the secret numbers that we were pulling out of the bag? So when we were pulling those objects out of those bags, what did you notice that all of those had that were the same? Great. So if you said in all of those, the first tens frame was completely full in all those, you're right. So we always, when we're building our tens number, or our teen numbers, we're always having that 10 as our base number, okay? So we have 10 and then extra 1. So this one I can see I have 10 and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extra ones. So 10 plus 7 equals 17. Okay, so you can think about that whenever you're building your teen numbers. You're always going to have 10 as your base and then extra ones. So now it's your turn. What you're going to need is your green mathematics, everyday mathematics book, and you're going to be using page 12. Okay, so what I want you to do is find 2 teen number groups of objects around your house, so 2 different sets of objects, and you're going to fill out the tens frame that's on that page, write out that number sentence that goes with it, and then compare the two and look and see which one is smaller, which one's bigger. What you're going to do is put an X on that smaller collection that you found, and I will show you my example here in just a second. Okay, so here is my work. So what I did was I found 12 crayons for one of my collections, and then I found 14 Jenga pieces. So I used those for my 2 different collections. I know it says partners collection, but you can just cross that off and just do each of those are your collections. Okay, so for the first one, the 12 crayons, I colored in my tens frame first. So I colored in 10 boxes and then 2 more to make 12. So I did 10, 11, 12. Now be careful when you're doing this because this wants to know what the total is first. So my total was, I had 12 crayons total, okay? So then it has my equal sign, so it's kind of backwards. 10 on my first tens frame and 2 boxes colored in on my second one. So then I know 10 plus 2 equals 12. All right, for my next one, I had 14 of my Jenga pieces. So that first one had 10 filled in, and then 4 more on the next box or on the next 10 frame. So again, don't let it trick you right there. You're putting that total first. So I had 14 total. I had 14 Jenga pieces equals my first 10 frame is all filled in. So 10 plus 4 extra ones. So 10 plus 4 equals 14. Then it says circle the larger collection, put an X on the smaller collection. So I'm going to circle the larger collection. My larger number was 14. And my smaller collection was 12. So I'm going to put an X through my 12. All right, so your job is to find those two different groups of objects around your house, okay? And then you are going to take a picture of that and send it back to your teacher, okay? If you'd like to try the challenge says, can you determine how many more and how many fewer are in each collection that you found? And how many do you have all together? So how many do you have with both collections? How many are there all together? All right, boys and girls, our objective today was to compare numbers between 10 and 19. You guys did an awesome job with that today. I look forward to seeing your work.